Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Jeff Mendelson, and this is the One Big Tip podcast. And today, I'm really pleased to have with me on the line James Hipkin. With over a 40 years career, James has made advertising and marketing his life's work. With previous clients such as Sprint, Apple, Wells Fargo, and Toyota, they all appreciated his practical, no-nonsense approach to advertising online. And his one big tip today, we'll talk about how you can't do a single part of digital marketing in a vacuum. Only by engaging in a multifaceted approach to advertising your service or product can you achieve the market penetration that you need that is necessary to grow. So I'm really pleased to have you on the line today. James, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's great to be here. I'm really looking forward to the conversation today.
Thank you so much for joining me. So I wanted to take a minute and get an idea of your background. You worked with all these great companies, and you're basically working. You were telling me a little bit about this in the pre-call about how you've been creating websites and digital presences for larger companies, but you also work for the smaller SMBs as well. Can you please
Yeah,
give us a little background about how that all works together and where you got to where you are today?
love to. Um, it's been an interesting and somewhat checkered past. This is our fourth country and third continent that I've been working in advertising and marketing, and I had a long career. I've had the good fortune to work with a lot of really top brands and folks that you'd recognize, projects that have really given me a lot of perspective. Probably 15 years ago, I started shifting more aggressively into digital marketing and started focusing on that. I was president of a small advertising agency in San Francisco at that point, and was it was focused on direct marketing, and we shifted it into digital marketing. Um, 10 years ago, I had the opportunity to become a partner in and then eventually bought out one of my vendors. This was supposed to be my semi-retirement. My wife likes to say what part of working from 8 in the morning till 6 at night is semi-retired. But anyway, and we've been focused in the past 10 years on building websites, usually for larger corporations. We work as a subcontractor for design agencies in New York, LA, and San Francisco, and act as their construction general contractor, if you will, to actually build the websites that they've designed. Um, many small businesses that I've met through my travels and through working, um, they can't afford to work with us in that model. So a number of years ago, we started creating software that would allow us to offer smaller businesses, a professionally designed, built, hosted, maintained website using a subscription model. It's an alternative to Wix and Squarespace. Our key differentiator is we have the staff, the content specialists who actually do the website work on behalf of the small business owners. So many of them don't even log into the websites. They're perfectly welcome to, but they don't want to. They don't want to be a webmaster. They count on us to take care of it for them. And this has been a good model for us, and it's really coming along. And part of the purpose of being in these podcasts is to get a bit more of that story out there.
You know what's really interesting? When I first started out, I also went the creating websites model and with hosting it. And, like very early on, I realized the power of the subscription model
Mhm.
and that it's very nice to get a big check at the beginning or at the end of a project. But then you have to swing right back into sales mode in order to keep that flow going.
Right.
And when you start breaking things up into a subscription model, no matter how small it is, basically what happens is that you're creating this perpetual motion machine for your business because a lot of these services like moving a website, moving hosting, moving marketing teams, things like that, as long as you're providing good service, there's no reason for them not to be paying you, right?
Right.
And if you are providing such a sticky service, it does become relatively painful for them to move off and go somewhere else. They have to go and recreate everything. They have to start again from the beginning with with a new designer and someone who may or may not be well vetted, and it just creates a whole pain process that most companies would probably not, not really enjoy, right?
Well, that's it. I mean, these I mean, a small business owner, their most precious commodity is not money, it's time. And they don't want to be putting their time into wrestling and fighting with a website. They want to put their time into the business that they're trying to make successful. And that's how we're focused on that support and service aspect of that proposition. I mean, our technology is fine. Competitors' technology is fine if you're willing to climb the learning curve. But we don't just hand them the keys to a Ferrari and wish them luck on the freeway. We're there to do it for them. And that difference is important to the small business owners because they've got the wherewithal to pay for the service if they need it, if they're serious about digital marketing, and then that so we're providing that for them, and that is where we're also adding these other sort of resources to them, acting as kind of an Airbnb type model for other digital marketing service providers that we vet. And that's why I came up with, well, actually the hub and spoke strategy idea is an old idea that I've been practicing for many, many years. I wish I could say it's an original idea. It's not, but it really is germane to the small business owners that are getting overwhelmed by digital marketing.
Let's talk about that because I thought it was really interesting when you first brought this to my attention. One of the interesting things about digital marketing is that there's so much that you can talk about, and I sort of half jokingly tell prospective clients that there are a million ways that you can spend money with me,
Yeah,
right? And that's there's between the design assets and the content writing and managing the social and the paid ads and the website development, there are a million ways to do it, right? And not saying that me or my company is the best at any or all of them, right? But it just becomes this, well, if you want a comprehensive digital marketing plan, you really have to look deeper into what works for that particular business. What's going to work for a men's suits company is not going to be the same that I'm going to do for a restaurant, or not going to be the same that I do for a doctor, down the street. They're all pretty unique.
absolutely.
Where the similarities come in, though, are the way that all of these different technologies need to work together, right? So
Right.
they need to have a proper landing page, you need to have a proper contact form. When you contact somebody, a certain email needs to go out. Those basic building blocks are what's are probably the foundation of the hub and spoke system.
Well,
Can you get
exactly. Yeah, different channels. Where it breaks down, though, is people, business owners tend to look at all of these channels, tactics, aspects of digital marketing in isolation. The idea behind the hub and spoke strategy is that it is a strategy, it's not tactics. And it's a strategy that builds together the pieces. The website becomes the hub, and that's owned real estate. It's, you know, people say, well, I don't need a website. I have a presence on Facebook. Well, your presence on Facebook is rented space. You don't really own it. The website is something that you can own and you use that as the hub. Everything flows into the website and everything flows out of the website. The different channels that you can use: organic social media, paid social media, email marketing, paid advertising, PR, direct mail, all kinds of different channels that you can use need to flow back into the website. And then the rim that holds it all together is your messaging strategy and content strategy. And that should be driven by your the ultimate needs of your best prospect, your best customer. So by bringing these things together in this way, you've got something that is very fundamental to human evolution, the wheel, and the power comes from those connections, not from the individual pieces of the puzzle. When I speak publicly, I'll stand there with a bicycle hub in one hand and a bunch of spokes in another hand, and the rim will be sitting there, and I'll go, these are nice. Individually, they don't have much value. You put them together,
And
connect
now
them
you have
up,
something comprehensive.
and you have something comprehensive. You have a strategy within which you can place your different channels, which are your spokes, and use them effectively and measure them effectively. And it's a simple idea, but it's a light bulb for a lot of folks that they go, oh. And then what ultimately happens is they start eliminating pieces of the puzzle. Another common problem I observe is this tendency to want to try to boil the ocean. It's just there's too many options. So my recommendation is almost always build the hub and spoke strategy and pick a few and do them really well. And when you've got them completely dialed in, then you add another one. And when you've got that completely dialed in, maybe you're going to add another one. But because you're focusing everything into the website as the hub, you've got those assets and those resources, and you're observing the behavior of your customers in an environment where you can track what's going on and water the flowers and prune the weeds.
I really like the way that you presented that because a lot of times what I would get is, like clients that would try to call me up and say like, well, I only want SEO. Right. And
Mhm.
it's like, well, if your website sucks, the SEO isn't going to work either. Or
Right.
like, I don't care how much, I don't care how much you put into it. It's just not going to work. Right. But what happens is that if you present it to them the other way, meaning that you need these 6 different services, between the content writing, the social and the paid ads and all that, you could very easily scare them away as well. But the way you presented
Exactly.
it here was that, listen, like we build out the foundation, then we can put up the frame of the house. Then we can put up the drywall and connect the plumbing. Then we can start making things pretty by putting in the impact windows and and the nice chimney and the grass
Mhm.
and all that to make it really work
And
out.
and the paint and the decoration and the furniture and yeah.
How does that conversation look then when you illustrate that to a prospective client that they are hung up with a particular piece of technology or a particular process, and you're like, well, no, that's not really going to work for you. How do you get them to like come around to see the light for your approach?
Well, the gray hair has some advantages. The word no is one of my most popular words. Um, I talk people out of things more often than I talk them into things. It's about having the focus and really focusing in on what works. Let's talk about SEO, for example. I love SEO. It's a very important channel. It's a tactic that everybody should be aware of. But for many small businesses, it's not the first thing they should be concerned about.
Right.
SEO is a long game. It can get very expensive if it's done properly, particularly if you're trying to compete nationally. We have a number of e-commerce customers who are using the Innately subscription service, and I counsel them to be aware of SEO, but to use other channels to get going. And one in particular really started eliminating things and focused right in on organic social media, building his presence in Facebook. Principally his audience is older, and email marketing. And he has more than tripled his business year over year since he started pursuing the hub and spoke strategy.
I love it. I love hearing stories like that because basically what it does is that you're taking a belief and just pivoting it towards something that, listen, with the same amount of effort you can go you can go 45 degrees to the left and you can do so much better instead of just trying to focus down on the latest fad
Right.
that you heard from Gary Vee on his Instagram channel or whatever.
Right. We had a long conversation about where is your audience?
Mhm.
Where are I mean, this guy sells a very particular kind of orchid. not orchids in general, not houseplants in general, a very specific kind of orchid.
Right.
And his audience is older and they're very active in Facebook. So he started building his Facebook page. He'll get engagement on an organic Facebook post, into many hundreds of people commenting, liking, sharing the post. And he has built his audience, and he's got the website as his hub. He drives people back to the website. That's where he captures their email address. Then he uses email marketing to build and create value for them as so they got this sort of one-two thing going on. And I mean, he's, like I said, he's been tripling his sales year over year.
Amazing. What an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing that. James, can you please let everyone know how they can learn more about your company and how they can reach out to you directly?
Well, I'd love it if people would embrace the hub and spoke strategy. It's a simple idea, but it's a very powerful idea. We actually wrote an ebook that tells the story of John. It's a fictional story. It's not in the traditional businessy type way. It's an actual story that is based on a small business owner adopting the hub and spoke strategy. If you're interested in that ebook, you can go to hubandspoke.marketing. That's hubandspoke.marketing. And that there you can download the ebook and learn about John's journey to success using the hub and spoke strategy. Of course, you can also reach out to us at innately.com. The URL is INN, the number 8LY.com, and contact us through the website. Love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, James. This has been a great conversation. I love nerding out on these concepts, and I, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. Thank you so much for being here.
It's been my pleasure. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.